everybody discussing the impact of AI, it will be done by machines. But what will always be our role as humans, as bosses, as co-workers, connecting to other human beings? Because again, James, if you tell me a sad story and I say, I understand you, it's something. If ChatGPT says, I understand you, it's different. It can use perfect English, grammar, punctuation. It's not another human being. We have to connect to people, motivate people, is getting to handle the other person, getting together to solve problems and issues. I think that's the best humans we can be.
Success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about living a life that reflects your values and priorities. Welcome to Engineer Your Success, the podcast that helps you lead with intention and live fulfilled.
Everyone expects you to have all the answers, but who's asking you how you're doing? Who's helping you think through your challenges? Engineer Your Success Insiders is my private podcast designed specifically for you. It's like having a coach in your corner focused on helping you win at work and at home. One story, one insight, one action that you can take, all wrapped up into real coaching insights that you can use. Join at engineeryoursuccessnow.com/insiders. Welcome to the Engineer Your Success podcast. I'm Dr. James Bryant, your host for the show. And today I am joined by Mr. Kenneth Correa, a marketing strategist and emerging tech expert from Brazil. Kenneth runs 80/20 Marketing, serving clients across Latin America, and has spent the past 15 years tracking emerging technologies from social media and big data to blockchain, the metaverse, and AI agents. He's the author of Cognitive Organizations, a book written entirely using AI agents to explore how these technologies are reshaping the modern workplace. Kenneth brings real-world case studies showing both the promise and the pitfalls of AI implementation. If you're wondering how to navigate the AI revolution while maintaining your humanity, this conversation is for you. Kenneth, I appreciate you joining us. How are you doing?
Hi, James. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with that awesome introduction.
You've been following emerging technology for over 15 years, from social media to AI. How do you filter hype from what's valuable?
Wow, James. Tough question, right? When we look at news and we're following up, try to keeping on par with whatever is happening, especially in AI. This is so fast because we've been here for 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure there's some new AI that just came out and we're already late on it. But what happens is media has been following for this past 15 years, at least while I was watching closely. So there's this stage connected to research fields, the academic world, where the technologies are launched. They're called the innovation trigger. The second step of the way on the hype cycle is called the peak of inflated expectations. This is the Gartner hype cycle for emerging tech. And I love that name because that's exactly how it feels. Everybody will start saying that, let's say AI agents, because that's the ongoing hype. AI agents is going to cure cancer. It's going to solve hunger and poverty and clean water in the environment. But the same thing was said about generative AI, blockchain, the metaverse. Media outlets love that idea. That's the silver bullet. I have to be on the arena because I'm working with clients. I run my own companies. When I get in touch with a new technology, I'll put up a prototype, proof of concept, or minimum viable product using that technology. Very easy with AI agents, hard to do with quantum computing, for example. So that's how I split, and I've been pouring a lot of energy on AI agents, only following the news about quantum computing.
Okay. So you put a proof of concept together to test these technologies. Can you talk about that, things you've done with clients to show these proof of concepts?
Sure. For example, if we remember the metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg's dream that everybody's gonna be stuck in a virtual world, organizing meetings, playing games and poker, all that. The thing that I did was I bought a Quest. I tried to put my hands on the technology as fast as I can whenever it's accessible. And then I start using it. The first thing is to be a practitioner. It's not about theory. It's not about following courses in the university. It's really getting your hands dirty. So I bought the tech, started using it. Whenever generative AI was out, that was November 30th, 2022, right? The last day of November in 22. I was already testing GPT, the technology behind ChatGPT, at least 6 months before it, because I'm following lots of threads on Reddit, the social network. There's a lot of subreddits about innovation, emerging tech as a whole. Whenever somebody spits out something about this tech, I will put my hands on it. Usually I'll create something for my own company, for my own personal use. For example, I love the VR games, right? So I had lots of fun with my kids, always trying to understand how consumers could make the best out of that. Sometimes I'll call a client because I work with approximately 20 to 25 different companies in different sectors in South America. I'll suggest implementing a solution for them. I have some, what I like to call, and they know it, some crazy clients that jump into the ideas. Whenever I call, they say, if Kenneth's talking about it, it's probably worth it. We try to get something rolling. It's about creating an ongoing functioning product.
I know you've mentioned generative AI, AI agents, and then we're going to focus on those topics. Before we get there, you mentioned the metaverse and VR. Do you have examples of how you've helped implement or test those technologies?
I live in the most western part of Brazil. If you look at the map of South America, where I live is the middle of the map. It's not São Paulo, not Rio de Janeiro, not Buenos Aires. I'm far west, like the Midwest of the United States 50 years ago. We have a lot of agriculture. And recently, they started planting eucalyptus, the trees, which is very good to make pulp, which is the matrix for creating paper, like tissue paper. They built the largest factory in the world to process eucalyptus into pulp. Now, whenever you're building a factory this huge in a desolated place, you're hiring workers in the factory. I'm talking about peak 7,000 workers in a town with the population of 5,000. So you got more workers in the factory than you got people living in the city. So you have to hire really fast. You have to hire people that not always will have all the skills for it. You have to train them, but especially, James, that do not know the safety procedures. So what we did with the metaverse is we got the 3D file from the engineers that were building the factory, put that into a virtual reality space. So now you got a digital twin, a perfect digital copy of the factory, or we can advance time. And when the factory is ready, we put those VR glasses in the new hires. So before any single person walks into a factory is always a hazardous place. But imagine the building of a factory. That's even more dangerous. So we did 100% of the safety training in the metaverse before people join the factory.
Wow.
The factory is now ready. This was the least number of accidents in the history of this company. It's a 110-year-old company. This was the most safe construction of a plant in the history of plants. So that's one implementation. I was playing games with my son, and then I saw a simulation of electrician's work. And then I said, hey, I think I can call my friends at the pulp factory, called the CTO and said, I have this idea. Let me show you that. I showed him the game. He called the engineers. They gave me the plant. In 3 weeks, we had the first proof of concept. That's how we get our heads dirty with the technology.
I think that's great. And thank you for taking the time to share that, because it leads to the whole practical application of AI agents, the metaverse. These tools help us be more productive or free up time. So I noticed you wrote a book, Cognitive Organizations. And am I correct in that you wrote that book almost completely using AI agents?
Yes, you're perfectly precise. I created a network of intelligent agents. In this very network, I had AI agents, but I also had human agents, because the agent is a creature that takes decisions, that makes decisions. So you can either have a human being making decisions, but AI can also make decisions. In this network, I had an AI agent scouting newly published academic articles about the technical topic is called multi-agent systems. Whenever a new article was published on a big database of academic articles mentioning multi-agent systems, I had a robot, an AI agent, that will connect, download the article, read it, and then make the decision to tell Kenneth, the human in the loop. This book was created by an intelligent network with humans in the loop. So I was one of the humans. And then it will say, okay, there's this new article by James, and he talks about this, this, and that. I think this will be a good addition for chapter 8. So now myself as a human will say, okay, I like that. It's good. It's cool. I will send that to another agent. That's the agent in charge of selecting where in chapter 8, on which specific page that will fit. Okay, page 84, chapter 8, you put it right after the paragraph we talk about this. I had another agent, AI, that will write up the suggestion of a paragraph, considering the content of the article, quoting, citing the source where that came out of, the year and all that. We have the technical part for that. And then show me the paragraph in context. Human in the loop. I'll get to page 87, chapter 8, read to evaluate the fluidity, if that really made sense. After I finished the book, it's ready. I hired a freelance editor who read all the book from start to finish. A friend who is a CTO, part of the audience the book was written for, also read the book start to finish as editors. So it was a network of AI agents working together with the humans in the loop.
To me, it goes back to what you talked about earlier, having a proof of concept. It's not enough to hear and understand the concept of AI agents. You actually want to get your hands dirty and figure out, how can I leverage this and use this to create something?
Yeah. A year and a half ago, I ran into a tool called AutoGen by Microsoft. And when I read the marketing slogan for the product, it said, from prompt to app. Amazing, right? I tried it out, but it was crap. It didn't work at all. So I'm out of Microsoft's AutoGen. I ran into this tool called Crew AI, open source agent orchestration product. I changed my process. So now it's not from prompt to app. The first thing is designing the network. I will need, if I want to create an app, I'll need this front end designer. I'll need a database analyst who will suggest how data will be stored. I need a developer to really write the code. I need another developer to be the reviewer. So now I'm thinking about these different positions, different tasks that need to be done. Then I prompt a group of agents, and I could get the first app out in less than an hour.
It reminds me of the iterative process that we can use with ChatGPT. Hey, I'm thinking about developing a network of agents. Here's the ultimate goal. Give me suggestions for the individual agents I need to create to produce this product.
Awesome. Exactly. Creo AI on their website, they have trained an AI assistant where you can not only ask that and it will suggest you the roles and tasks, but also write the Python code. So you don't need to really know how to code because they write the code for you and you get the file ready to put it into production.
We've talked about the hype and being able to extract value from the hype by actually practically applying it. We have two examples of that. One is what you did with VR. The other was using the agents with humans in the loop to write the book. Next, have you run into a situation of AI gone wrong? And when I say AI gone wrong, it's not the technology itself, but how it was implemented.
Yes, of course. When we talk about AI, the technology, we still have lots of problems to solve, right? We have the hallucinations where the conversation between the agents go haywire and you get nowhere and you don't solve the problem. So this is actually still a problem going on. But I have an interesting story about implementation I'd love to share with you. So I'm working with this Swiss bank, and those guys have a structure of sales, getting new customers and getting more money invested in their products. The salespeople are driving around, visiting clients and drinking tea and coffee with the clients, so proposing, making proposals, and then closing deals and signing contracts. But they had a boss. What the boss would do in the bank is Monday, weekly meeting with all the salespeople. And he'll say, okay, James, you got to hit a quota of $1 million. Kenneth, you need 1.2 million because you're a little behind. And Mary, you need $500,000. All right, go for it. Then the team starts working and the boss is drinking his coffee. And now Wednesday is here and he's like, hey, James, you're supposed to have sold $1 million. You only sold 300,000. You're behind your quota. You never read it. You should visit client A or B. They have some money stored, or you should use a different strategy because their conversion rate is not very good. So he's coaching as a boss. He's a supervisor. He's coaching his sales team. When it gets to Friday, the last weekly meeting gets everybody together and say, okay, James, congratulations. You hit your quota. Kenneth, you're out. With numbers, I can never get you to next month and so on. The bank started questioning if they could substitute the salespeople for AI because the salespeople were visiting the client and having the conversation. But how about the boss? So they implemented an AI boss, the AI sales supervisor. So now what the AI boss is a WhatsApp contact that talks to them via their smartphone. On Monday, we'll set the quotas. On Wednesday, coach them. On Friday, display the results. But at the end of the second week, everybody wanted to quit. A boss is never something good, but an AI boss, I can talk bad things about it. It's not a person, right? I cannot relate to it. It has no empathy. He's a very patient boss because this AI assistance can be tireless, but it's not something that I can relate to. So AI bosses is something that I do not recommend after having this experience because people couldn't live with it.
What do you think the company underestimated about human behavior and workplace dynamics?
It sounds like a horrible idea. With the benefit of it already having happened, it really sounds like a strange idea to put a robot controlling people. What was underestimated was the idea that the boss's job was only to send messages, not considering the possibility that the boss had a human connection with every one of those employees, knew about their dreams and challenges, had personal interactions. Even being 100% remote, you can still connect to another human being via a Zoom call. I think they underestimated the human part of being a leader. It was just a software sending messages, not really a leader, as it should be if you are in competitive workplace.
It sounds like the AI manager was good at managing information or the process, but had no ability to connect to the employees. The employees did not feel connected to that AI boss.
Again, James, it's very easy. In hindsight, very easy to understand why, right?
Yeah.
Sending you your quota is only trying to tell you how to do your job and giving you bad news on Friday.
But that also highlights for managers and business owners, there is a power to having someone to be able to nurture and invest in those relationships, in those connections that goes beyond the information. It's not what they do, but how they do it.
Definitely. And I'll go even further. Everybody discussing the impact of AI is always rushing to say that AI will dehumanize us, will turn us into robots. But I think the idea is exactly the opposite of that. Everything that can be done by a robot, every task, and I'll tell you that probably a human being shouldn't be doing after all, it will be done by machines. But what will always be our role as humans, as bosses, as co-workers, connecting to other human beings. Because again, James, if you tell me a sad story and I say, I understand you, it's something. If ChatGPT says, I understand you, it's different. It can use perfect English, grammar, punctuation. It's not another human being. We shouldn't be walking into mines. We shouldn't be cleaning bathrooms. That's jobs for robots to make our mental health go off. But if all we have to do throughout our day is connect to people, motivate people, is getting to the handle the other person, getting together to solve problem and issues, I think that's the best humans we can be.
You know how to solve tough technical problems, but leading people, that's a different challenge. Stepping into leadership means more than just knowing your stuff. It's about inspiring, communicating, and navigating challenges with confidence. At Engineer Your Success, we help technical pros like you grow into leaders who just don't manage the work, but lead the people who do. If you're ready to lead with clarity and impact, visit engineeryoursuccessnow.com today, because thriving isn't just for others, it's for you. I love that, because you're marking the path to becoming the best humans you can be. And so you've talked about using AI or leveraging AI so that you can be more human in a sense, so that you can live life and run your businesses. How has that impacted you personally in your personal life?
James, whenever I started using generative AI, the first versions of GPT, they weren't very powerful. They were only able to complete simple sentences. Really could see a potential there, but still couldn't adapt and bring that to my own production. But in 2023, after training my team, I have a 95 people company. So I got everybody in a online connection, started teaching them about how to make prompt design or prompt engineering, how to get these tools as a part of a workflow, how to start counting on the AI to create content, to analyze data, and all the different possibilities that we have already. I started doing that for myself. So I could find something rare. Some say the only thing you can't buy is that I started having time back. And in that case, in a personal level, I could spend more time with my wife, with my kids, being able to, Brazil is famous for soccer. So I'm playing soccer with my kid, taking him to classes, playing with my daughter and her dolls and makeup. I could get AI to help me write a book. I answer journalists' requests. on comments. There was a major law change in Brazil today regarding digital platforms. So journalists are calling me. I can design a comment with the aid of AI. And I taught my AI to learn the way that I write, the way that I create an argument. Even if it's something that I never talked about in the past, it can suggest a new one. So that helped me out. I have to work the company numbers, see what's going on with the company. I take pictures with my phone of my company dashboard where I have the financial data, where I have the different productivity level for the teams. My phone with Gemini, Google's Gemini, is already trained on those indicators. So whenever it sees the photo, it already tells me what to do. So I don't spend time crunching numbers. I spend time talking to my team, right? I do love computers, but I love more connecting to other people.
That is great. So if we were to simplify this or bring it down to a few simple steps that someone could take if they want to create that kind of freedom in their life, what would that be?
Well, first thing is, it's not about taking a course. I'm a professor. I love classes, and I think education is the only pathway to freedom and happiness. But with the case of generative AI, nothing beats using the tool. So the first thing is you get half an hour of your week, 1 hour if you can, and you're going to spend 1 hour talking to ChatGPT about what you do, about the different tasks that you have to solve, about the problems and challenges you're facing in your career, in your personal life, in your professional life. It's able to remember what you talked to. So the first thing is you're going to spend the first step talking and giving it context. Second step, after you talk about what you do, what are your challenges, you're going to ask ChatGPT, based on what you know about me and my tasks and my challenges, please tell me how can you help me do that better, more efficiently, faster. And then ChatGPT itself will give you a very specific, tailored answer to your context and situation. And I'm saying that, James, because I see a lot of people that just get ChatGPT and ask, how can I sell more? It doesn't know what to sell, right?
Yeah.
Give it a context and then ask how it can be of help. The third step, very important. You have to do what it suggests you, right? You don't need to obey everything. You need to obey blindly. That's not what I'm suggesting here. But you need to take action. The productivity gain you get out of ChatGPT and alike tools is not only by talking to it. It will really make a difference after you execute on it. Let me tell you a short story about it. I live in the middle of South America, but the business center, the New York of South America, is on the far east. I have to fly for an hour and a half to get there. So I try to be at this city at least every other week because that's where I do business. I flew back home yesterday. I have to be in that city. And I have a lot of connections, my clients and people that I talk to. But of course, as a business person working in a services company, I always have to connect to new companies, to new businesses. So I started telling ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, actually I use Gemini. Hey, Gemini, I have these friends in the city of São Paulo. And then now I'm copying their profile, their LinkedIn profile bio. That small summary of what they do and what are their challenges. I did this for 15 people. It took me like 15 minutes. So I'm getting everyone's description. And I say, okay, regarding this group of friends, what do they have in common? What topics would interest them? And what are the different options of events that I could call them in that would make sense for them? Now, Gemini suggested I organize a happy hour, end of day on a Wednesday, watch a soccer game because lots of them mentioned soccer on their LinkedIn profile. So it hit Gemini and said, you invite them to talk about soccer, but you create a rule that they have to invite a colleague in the same level to be a part of that. So I created Soccer Wednesdays with Tech. It's a Soccer Wednesday where we talk about tech. The first 8 guys came in with 8 more people. So we have 16 people in a table. I connected these new guys that I didn't know before. I'm off with 2 new contracts for my company out of that.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
again, it's not just talking and listening to the solutions, but acting on it. Third step, very important, putting it into action.
Well, that is great, man. Kenneth, I want to really thank you for taking the time to lay that out. Lots of practical gems that our listeners are going to be mining and putting into action. If someone wants to get connected with you or find out more about what you have to offer, what's the best way for them to do that?
In Brazil, I'm using LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn.
And
I'm sorry.
we'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the
Amazing.
show notes.
That's the best place to go. You can send me direct messages on that. I'm creating some content in Portuguese, and I began creating content in English since the past year on Instagram. So people can look for my profile on Instagram, Kenneth Correa.
Before we wrap up, what's one question that you would like to ask me?
Well, James, I'm always curious about what were you thinking about AI before we started this conversation 30 minutes ago? And what may have clicked while we were talking?
That's a very good question because it hits at active listening and understanding or gaining understanding while you're doing an interview or a conversation. Before this conversation, I had a cursory understanding about the concept of AI agents, and I use ChatGPT heavily. I've been hearing more and more about agents, no code agents, listening to your description of how you put agents and humans in the loop for writing your book gave me lots of ideas about things that I may be able to do from a content creation perspective or just curating information. As we were talking, the thought came to me about, hey, if I'm working on a project or I want to do something, let me just ask ChatGPT, what are the agents that I could develop and deploy to help me execute on? And so before this conversation, the concept of agents was really abstract. But as you described how you leveraged it to write your book, as you described how you begin to leverage it for your own internal productivity gains for your company, it gave me lots of ideals and made it a little bit more concrete for me.
Just awesome. So the way that I feel right now is mission accomplished, right? I always try to get people on board into using tech so we're able to become more human. And I feel that if you take step number 3, which is put that into action, I think you'll be able to enjoy whatever fits you for that.
All right. So you've heard it, put tech into action. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining the show. I'm going to end this episode like I end every episode, and that's this. Many people know what to do. Fewer people know how to do it. And there is a select group of people that follow through, do it, and they are living the life of their dreams. Kenneth, I want to thank you and all of your AI agents being part of select few.
Love it.